I'm going to talk about an English statue called Shiva and Parvati sculpture. The temple where this artwork came from is unknown, but it is known that this sculpture is highly prized because of all the details that you're about to see. It was originally painted with bright colors, but now it's black. In the past, these kind of sculptures were used to have a closer relationship with gods. The gods would only live in perfectly made ones, and the sculptures had to ritually purify themselves before they commenced carving. This artwork is called Portrait of a Woman of the Hofer family. Its author is called Swabian. He painted it around 1470. The lady's identity is unknown, but we can see that she holds a forget-me-not for remembrance. She has a fly on her headdress painted with a lot of details and a little shadow. During the Renaissance, it was very common and popular to include creatures like flies to trick the eye. This artwork is called Black on Maroon, which was painted by Marca, known as one of the pioneers of the color field painting, a movement characterized by simplified compositions of unbroken color in 1958 to 1959, which was when abstract art was in its cusp. This artwork is an oil painting that is based off rectangles, since it is a deep maroon base with two lighter maroon rectangles on top of a black rectangle. Rothko presented a very reflexive form of art. Going into his room in the Tate Modern feels like going into a different era, in which everything is very sentimental and peaceful. He started painting a collection of artworks as a commission for murals for the Four Seasons restaurant. Sadly, this artwork was vandalized in 2012 when a Tate visitor wrote on a painting with a tag pin.
I am Lorena Díaz-Ortiz. My box is What Are You Afraid Of? It explains people's phobias. For example, it's thytophobia, which is fear of fishes, or phonophobia, which is phobia of phones. Phobias develop during childhood due to a stressful experience that can condition us to respond with fear whenever that event comes to mind. But in fact, fears and disgust helps us survive. For example, fear of spiders. It also helps us connect with other humans and it enables us to interact with the world around us. I hope you liked the video and you found it interesting.
I am Queen Victoria. In 1840, I married my cousin Albert, who was a virtual ruler of the country. I was a pillar of respectability. I created the Victorian Albert Museum, the Science Museum, the Imperial College, and the Royal Albert Hall. My reign saw the British Empire double in size. But in 1845, Ireland suffered the Great Famine, and 1 million people died.
This shadow puppet is one of the oldest surviving shadow puppets in the world, at least 200 years old. It represents Bhima, the hero of the great Hindu epic, the Mahabharata. These shadow puppets still exist in Java. They use them in a stable theater. Plays are performed through the night by a single puppeteer, and the most successful topic is the battle between good and evil. During the show, they believe they are protected from any everything. In the 16th century, Islam spread to South Asia. Since that moment, Muslims start to perform Hindu epics in Java. They adapt the shadow theater, changing their faces because of the Islam laws. On the other hand, in Bali, the shadow puppet faces didn't change. It's amazing how some shadows can create a story.
I'm George VI. Throughout the Second World War, that started in 1939, the Queen and me set an example of courage and fortitude. We remained at Buckingham Palace for the duration of the war in spite of the bombing. The palace was bombed more than once. I was in close touch with the Prime Minister, Winston Churchill, throughout the war. The post-war years of my reign were one of great social change and saw the start of the National Health Service.
Hello, I'm Marina, and my box is Are You Acting Like Your Age? Sooner or later, time makes its mark upon you. Your age is a part of your identifier. It shows how your body changes and how other people treat you. Apart from your age or genetics, you may look older depending on your lifestyle. For example, when there are twins, one of them leads an athletic and healthy life, and the other in the contrary, you can notice that a lot. I find this box very interesting to everyone. I hope you like it.
The Iris Slide is a sculpture exhibited at the Tate Modern, and it's made by Anish Kapoor, born in 1954. In the Iris Slide, different types of colors are used. Outside, the color is a type of white that could represent an egg. Inside, the color is a dark red, the tone of blood. The sculpture also uses the effect of the reflections produced by the red color. The height is 3 meters and the diameter is 2.5 meters. That extension and its shape attracts the audience to get into it. Think that the Iris Light invites blue. When someone is in the Iris Light, feels like if we were in another place or even in another world. The oval shape makes the sound as if it was a wine, and it can make you feel amazing. I think the Iris Light is a very interesting and original sculpture. It's amazing how a simple sculpture can make you feel like in another planet.
The Venus of the Mirror is a painting by Velázquez from 1599 to 1660. The most outstanding painter of the Spanish Golden Age. This is the only surviving example of a female nude that he did. Venus, the goddess of love, was regarded as a personification of female beauty. Her son, Cupid, holds a mirror, a very important part of the painting, because it shows the face of Venus to the viewer. That is a style that characterized Velázquez, as it connects the spectator with the work and the artist.
The Sultan whose helmet was one of the most famous founds of the discs done in 1939 in Sultan who, United Kingdom. This is an iron helmet adorned with bronze. And which has to be of an Anglo king or a very important character of the 6th century. When I was 16, I was leading my own army putting down rebellions in France. Although crowned King of England, I only spent 6 months in England. I was the leading Christian commander during the Third Crusade. There's different persons, animals, and in general, different types of living beings and species. And are the genes of each one of those living beings what distinguishes them from the others? The genes of all living beings are transmitted by their parents. Therefore, we are all born with them, but each one of those genes can evolve in thousands of different ways. It is the set of all these characteristics that are so concrete and proper that we can see in a unique and different way. The Three Dancers is one of his most popular works. This painting shows perfectly the vanguardist style of Picasso, as well as his solid and big lines. Many people could think that the scene is a happy and funny scene. However, experts say that it's related with his friend's death and others with his wife, a Russian dancer, and their bad relationship in that moment. An experiment of a bird in the air pump is a paint done in the 7th century by Joseph Richt of Derby, which shows and critiques the society through a scientific scene, which is where all a social event by that century. In the paint we can see a scientist who is trying to reanimate a bird which is in a glass pump and the reaction of the different persons of the room. There are different gestures by some characters, as well as stress, sadness, or excitement. From my point of view, this fact wants to show the selfishness and the clear fault of empathy when we want to get something cost what it cost.
This little figure, placed in the Indian room of the British Museum, contains a lot of hidden meaning. For example, Shiva is dancing in a determined position called Anandatandava, in which the god has an ignorance demon under his left foot. Moreover, it has been created with bronze 1000 years ago, and it was acquired by the museum in 1987. This figure belongs to the Chola dynasty, placed in India with an unknown antiquity and revivals of the Shivaism. They were great architects, famous because the worldwide known temples and also diverse figures like this one were made up by them. Hi, I'm Winston Churchill and I'm going to talk about myself. I was the Prime Minister who led Britain to victory in the Second World War against Hitler. Ideologically, I was an economic liberal. I began and ended my parliamentary career as a member of the Conservative Party, and I received the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1953, and I was considered the most important figure in British history. This work of art is made of 700 old radios which are tuned on different languages and frequencies and with the lowest volume. This, if we add the fact that the light which is light in the work is an indigo blue, tries to make the spectator feel uncomfortable. The artist who has made up this sculpture is Silda Mireles, one of the most important developers of conceptual art. What he wanted to express with this breathtaking work is the idea of a common place where different people live without any agreement, what is represented in the Bible in Babel's episode. This could also be a way of saying that different human characteristics can be on the whole a perfect masterpiece, like little jigsaw pieces forming a bigger and amazing jigsaw.
Hi, I'm Álvaro and I've chosen the box which is called What is the Recipe for Someone Like You? In this box, DNA is described scientifically as the basic ingredient of ourselves. Another curiosity that can be found in this glass box is a 3 billion countdown that is the time that scientists need to get to know how our DNA is. Furthermore, there's a machine which is used to describe DNAs and also an explanation of how it is. So I hope that you liked it and thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Álvaro and I'm going to talk about the National Gallery. In this painting, what we can find is a perfect representation of how the 16th century was. In the middle of the painting, there are represented two ambassadors, who are symbols of religion and power. On the other hand, the research in different topics like science or music are depicted with an instrument and the image of the world. But the thing it surprises the most is a deformed skull, representation of death, which can be perfectly seen from the right point of view.
The two-headed snake is a sculpture dated approximately between 40,000 AD and 1521 AD from the Aztec culture in Mexico. It's believed that it is one of the goods delivered by the Aztec ruler Suma II to the conquistador Hernán Cortés. Main material is cedar wood. It was created as a mosaic and its turquoise tesserae, formed by pieces of shells, were adhered to the wood by resin. This figure is a vegetables snake, that is, with two heads.
I'm Charles I. I tried to get married with Mariana de España, but I was rejected because I wasn't Catholic. I believed that I ruled by divine right, so I found difficult to reign with the parliament and I didn't accept the constitutional document, the Petition of Right. This led to the outbreak of the English Civil War in 1642. I was beheaded.
Ya sentí como nadie cuando tuve el bien y lloré como todos cuando algo se va. Nadie te enseña a ser fuerte pero te obligan. Nunca nadie quiso un débil para confiar. Nadie te enseña los pasos.
My name is Lucía Fernández Díaz and my box is Boy or Girl. In that box it includes too many things.
Si algún día perdiese mi miedo a perder, me duele haber corrido para no llegar.
An hormone trash spray that includes oxytocin. That helps the attraction between people. Has Nikon that helps you not to get.
Nunca nadie quiso un débil para confiar.
It talks about people's sexuality and the attraction between people. When people want to change their body to be attractive. I wish that this video makes you to be interested in that.
One is a deep work of art created by the American painter Rueda in 1963. This painting, apart from being iconic from the pop art movement, is one of the most important works in Liechtenstein's work. The canvas on the left shows an American fighter plane firing a missile off the canvas on the right and hitting approximately enemy plane. Above the American plane, you can see some words appearing. In this painting, the well-known Dutch painter Verano shows how several people eat at the banquet. Among them, the Babylonian king Belshazzar reacts to an appearance of writing of Jesus. Another painter, Verano, was a Dutch painter in Rueda. The history of art considers him one of the greatest masters of painting in Rueda, being certainly the most important artist in the history of Netherlands. His contribution to painting consists with what historians have come to call the Dutch Golden Age.
The seed Buddha from Gandhara is an early sculpture of the Buddha discovered on the site of Hamal Gari in ancient Gandhara, in modern-day Pakistan. It is now in room 33 of the British Museum, like other Gandharan or Greco-Buddhist art. The sculpture shows influence from ancient Greek art. The sculpture was very fine detail, even down to showing the fingernails. The pose, which was to become one of the number of standard ones, shows Buddha as a teacher sitting the wheel of Dharma in motion. The figure of the Buddha is shown on a cushion of a throne or platform. On the front of the throne there are much smaller figures of a bodhisattva with a turban. I'm Boudica. I was the queen of the British Celtic Iceni tribe. I was flogged and my daughters raped. I led an uprising against the occupying force of the Roman Empire. I defeated a detachment of Legionia Hispana and burned and destroyed Londinium. 70,000 Romans and British were killed and tortured. Hi, I'm Alba. I have the box number 14 and the question is boy or girl? This is the first question people ask of a baby, but it's not so simple. We can ask ourselves things like how masculine or feminine do I feel, or how does this sense of identity shape your relationships with others. The problem with this question is that it all depends on the individual, so to talk about it, the first thing is know each other. For that is that we can talk about this topic. Eva Makia, the artist, wants to show a little life in this work. Man Ray, also known as Emanuel Radnitsky. The work gets its name with in Basque means "let me alone" from a house near Biarritz. where Man Ray stayed and made an avant-garde film of the same name in 1925. The original version of the object was bright so in the film, but was subsequently lost. A vertical part of wood that remains the neck of a cello. Man Ray said, "Nature from the cell of the sea to the galaxy is full of spirals." The execution of Lady Jane Grey de la Rhodes was a celebrity artist in Paris around the 1830s. He was very popular due to his representation of emotions and his technical and fake composition, such as Lady Jane was the Queen of England for just 9 days, until she was dethroned the 12th of February 1554. She was 16 years old. In this painting, she is guided towards the execution block by Sir John Briggs. The straw on which the block rests was intended to soak up the victim's blood. The executioner stands impassive on the right, and two ladies in attendance are so grieved to the left. The painting was exhibited in Paris, where it caused a sensation.
I had 6 wives. With this rhyme, you can remember them. Divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, survived. My first divorce caused a split from Rome, and I declared myself the head of the Church of England. I dissolved the monasteries, and with the money gained, I brought about an effective navy. I had 6 wives. With this rhyme, you can remember them. Divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, survived. My first divorce caused a split from Rome, and I declared myself the head of the Church of England. I dissolved the monasteries, and with the money gained, I brought about an effective navy. The box I'm going to talk about is the box number 12 of the Science Museum, whose title is "How do you remember this?" This box is related with the medicines and meds and how they have evolved during the time. This box is one of the greatest boxes of the Science Museum because it's very well located and also Now I'm gonna talk about a very popular and important painting in the Tate Modern. This painting is called The Young Woman, and it was painted in 1920 by Allan Poe. This painting is very important and popular because of his clear message, which is enjoying life. We can appreciate this in the woman face that is very beautiful, and also in the guitar, which represents the melody of the life. This painting was painted in oil, and its dimensions are 25 por 28 centimeters. Here you can see the painting of a young man holding a school who was painted by French Halls. Its full title is Young Man Holding a School, and it was made in 1626. It was painted in oil on canvas, and its dimensions are 92.2 plus 80.8 centimeters. It was bought by the British Museum in 1980 and is located in the room 25. So it's very well located, so people go a lot to see them, as you can see.
This is a portable model of the yScience in the shape of an exquisite circular brass instrument, which looks a bit like a large brass pocket watch. It is an astrolabe, and with it in my hands I can tell the time, do some surveying, or work out my position in the world by the sun or stars, and if I have enough information, cast your horoscope. We don't know exactly who owned this particular Hebrew astrolabe, but it tells us a great deal about how Jewish and Islam scholars revitalized science and astronomy by developing the inheritance of classical Greeks and Rome. The instrument speaks of a great intellectual synthesis and about a time when the three religions, Christian, Judaism, and Islam, coexist peacefully. Although familiar to ancient Greeks, the astrolabe was an instrument that was particularly important for the Islamic world, as it allowed the faithful to find the direction of Mecca. So it is not surprising that the oldest astrolabe to survive is an Islamic one from the 10th century. John Lackland was an England king who was born on the 24th of December of 1166 and died on the 19th of October of 1216. He was King of England from 1199 until his death in 1216. He lost the Duchy of Normandy and most of his other French lands to the King Philip II of France.
Hi, I'm Ismael, and I'm going to talk about box number 9, which asks how do they know me? DNA in each of our cells is what identifies us. All the studies about DNA start after the first fingerprint. The DNA technology is a powerful tool for identifying murderers and terrorists. Our identity is rooted in the tiny difference which makes us unique. This difference also links us with the others, living and death. I hope you enjoy watching this video.
Once What is an artwork drawn by Barbara Kruger, who was born in 1945. It's a letter photography screen print on vinyl, measuring nearly 3 meters square. It depicts a hand holding a small box between thumb and forefinger against a plain black background. This provocative question, once what, is superimposed in white capital letters on a red ground along the box's side. This object resembles the shape and size of a cigarette packet, with the text covering the space where the brand name would be. The text speaks directly to the viewer, implying a reconsideration of questions of property and class, and commenting on the distribution of the economic power in society. This artwork was made by Pierre Mingard. He was a very popular French artist born in 1612, Troyes. Years later, he was called by the king of France for painting him. After this, he was very known, and nearly his death he drew this piece. This picture was drawn in 1691. It's an allegory, an image full of coded message. It shows a French marquise sitting near the seahorse with two of her sons around her. The marquise have in the hand a portrait of her deceased husband. This is for show the rest of the men that she was single and open to a new marriage. His marriage ended unhappy because her husband was from an inferior social class, and she thought her son couldn't be greater than his father. All the jewels she has around him are gifts from the king, because she was his mistress.
The mummy of Hornet-i-Jeft is an object belonging to the ancient Egypt. Hornet-i-Jeft was a priest in the temple of Ammon in Karnak during the reign of King Ptolemy III. According to stories and papyri, this priest lived a life full of luxuries and comforts, at the expense of the king, since he was his favorite. He was also a good man and tried to help as much as he could. This sarcophagus was built at his death, and years later found when digging as a Csif. I am Claudius. I began the definitive conquest of Britain after earlier invasion by Caesar and Caligula. Due to my limp and slight deafness, nobody, of potential enemies, saw me as a serious threat, so I became the Roman emperor. I was an able and efficient administrator, an ambitious builder, constructing many new roads, aqueducts, and canals across the empire.
Hi, I'm Ivan Calvo and I got book number 3, which is called Will There Be a Human Who Reaches 1,000 Years of Age? Scientists have been investigating a lot about this issue because there are a lot of different beings that can reach and exceed 1,000 years of age without any problem. Mainly trees, however, have a slow growth and they normally reach adult age very late. I hope this has been interesting and
These elements are the basic essence of the artistic movement called suprematism, and created by Kazimir Malevich. Suprematism is based on absolute minimalist and the maxim supreme representation of. This work, called Dynamic Suprematism and painted in oil on canvas around 1915, is a good example of this movement, although it can be better seen in another of his works. This painting, called Christ in the House of Martha and Mary, and painted by Diego Velázquez, sets on 1615. Although it seems to be a simple painting, if you look closer you will notice something odd. The scene in the background looks like a window, but it isn't. A mirror? Too expensive. An oil painting? Down in a kitchen. What is it then? Velázquez left us with a little riddle in one of his most famous paintings, and I'm sure you didn't notice.
Hi guys, I'm Juan Utrilla and I'm going to show you a very nice academic video that I shot this summer in London. Parthenon sculpture was found in the Parthenon in Athens, Greece. In the Parthenon, there were 92 sculptures known as meteors. This one is a part of a series featuring Lapids in combat with centaurs. The Lapids are a legendary people of Greek mythology from northern Greece, and the centaurs are a mythological creature from Greek mythology with the upper body of a human and the lower body and legs of a horse. In these sculptures, the centaurs represent the Persians, who were identified as beasts by the Greeks. It shows a centaur rising above a dying human body during a battle between centaurs and Lapids as the marriage faced fairy foes. I am Athelstan. I defeated a combined army of Scots, Celts, Danes and Vikings. For the first time, an individual Anglo-Saxon kingdom was brought together to create a single and unified England. After conquering the Viking kingdom of York, I was the first Anglo-Saxon ruler of all the whole England and the king of all Britain. Hello, I'm Juan, and I'm going to do the exercise about the box What Do You Think You Are? This box is about the human intelligence, compared to other animals. The human brain could be the most complex structure in all the universe. The human brain has millions of cells, and much more connections between them, while the brain of other animals, like chimpanzees or chickens, are much smaller. Also, there are many things that you can do to boost your intelligence with games like the Rubik's Cube. I hope you like it. The Fountain is a work of art attributed to Marcel Duchamp. It is a piece called ready-made. They are made through the use of exciting objects that are not normally considered artistic. With this work, an authentic revolution in the world of art was initiated by demonstrating that any mundane object could be considered a work of art. It is currently in the Tate Modern Museum in London. The work consists of a simple masculine urinal of white color with an inscription in blank ink in the inferior part, which Mat 1917 is read. Duchamp has taken the object as it is, without making any manipulation on it, and places it so that it can be observed by the viewer. The Nativity at Night is a painting made by George tot Sint-Jans about 1419 in Netherlands, and now is exhibited in the National Gallery in London. This is one of the most engaging and convincing retreatments of the Nativity at Night scene. In the foreground is the Virgin and the Christ seal in the crib, as a source of light that represents that God is the light that illuminates their lives. All the painting is very dark, and the artist made a contrast between the darkness and the divine light. Saint Joseph is in the background, and some animals too. There are also some small angels in the left.
Kakimon is specifically Japanese porcelain from the Kakimon workshop in Arita, with overglazed decoration. The Kakimon elephants are a pair of 17th century Japanese porcelain figures of elephants in the British Museum. The artists who make these figures had never seen a real elephant, so they had to work from drawings and sketches. Perhaps they were meant to be a male and female pair in spite of the presence of tusks, denoting a male elephant on both animals. My years on the throne were difficult. The First World War in 1914 to 1918 and the troubles in Ireland, which led to the creation of the Irish Free State, were considerable problems. In 1911 was established the supremacy of the elected British House of Commons over the unelected House of Lords, and in 1924 the first Labour PM was appointed. I'm Sara and I'm going to talk about the loss of memory. Through history, different studies have been carried, like the study that the Dr. Susan Cooking did to the Mr. H.M. Mr. H.M. suffered a small amnesia since he was a little boy. His memory was studied for 56 years. After his death, they used his brain to continue the study. In the exhibition, you can see a model in which you can see the affected part. And there are drugs that are likely to be used in the future to cure this illness. Giorgio Morandi was an Italian painter who specialized in still life. His paintings are noted for their simple subjects, which were limited mainly to bottles, bowls, flowers and landscapes. Morandi painted the same selection of familiar items like bottles, bowls, pots and boxes. Still life is an oil painting by him. In this work, uses a muted color palette. The canvas was prepared with a white ground layer and an underdrawing made with graphite is visible around the central base. The author of this paint is Bronzino, a famous Italian painter of the 16th century. In this paint, you can see two different realities who he wanted to reflect. On the one hand, eroticism and love, with a Venus and a Cupid kissing representing love and its forms. By the other hand, oblivion, a character who represents the jealousy and the stigma of syphilis.
Chinese Tangtong figures. About 1 meter high, this is among the tallest known burial figures from the Tang dynasty. They come from the tomb of Li Tingxun, an important military commander who died in AD 788. Ceramic figures like this were made for about 50 years. The sole purpose being to be placed in high status tombs. They have been found all around the great Tang cities of northwest China, where Li Tingxun held office. The ancient Chinese believed you need to have in the grave all the things that were essential to you in life. While the animals and human statues would serve and entertain him, the supernatural guardians figures were their benevolent spirits. I'm Elizabeth I. I was a remarkable woman, noted for my wisdom. I was popular with the people and had a genius for the selection of capable advisors. Drake and many more made England respected and feared. I defeated the Spanish Armada and the first Virginian colony was founded. Can the dead tell tales? The answer is yes. They tell us stories through the remains they leave behind. The bones and genetic material provide us with a great deal of information, Lombarded bones, teeth, and skulls can reveal the height, diet, gender, and even their customs. The time may pass, but we can say that the dead can still speak and show us their life stories. Edward Krasinski is a Polish artist who began his career as an illustrator and set designer. This installation consists of 12 suspended mirrors of equal size. A continuous line of blue tape runs along the wall and the surface of each mirror. It integrates the mirrors with the surroundings, erasing the difference between real and reflected space. The rows of overlapping mirrors generate a sense of movement depending on the viewpoint of the spectator, who is also reflected in the work. Minerva protects Pax from Mars, allegory of peace and war. Minerva drives away Mars, god of war, in Rubens' powerful anti-war painting, a visual plea for peace between England and Spain, in 1630, presented as a gift to Charles I from Philip IV. The frontal lining creates death in the image as the strong shadows and the bodies define spacing and movements. The highlight and the darkness at the same time represent the antitheses of Pax and Mars. Rubens uses the most suntuous colors available, and evidence of rich reds, deep browns, golds, and greens are used to create the various textures and the fabrics to define emotions.